Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz saxophonist David Bode of the New Orleans High Society. We caught up with him in mid-November about the band's debut 2020 CD entitled New Orleans High Society. The band originally started with a weekly gig in the birthplace of jazz, there in New Orleans, and as members of the band got to know each other better, a distinctive interpretation of New Orleans repertoire began to emerge with the sound of traditional jazz as its base, but with pieces of Afro-Cuban, gospel, and modern trip-hop mixed in. After playing together regularly for over 18 months, the band decided to record an album. They have a great story. Enjoy.
Thanks for taking a minute out for the show.
Yeah, no problem. I really appreciate you inviting me to talk about the album.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. And speaking of New Orleans High Society, talk to me a little bit about having an album coming out during a global pandemic.
It's interesting times we live in, of course. We had initially done the recording session more for a means to get gigs than really to be focused on the album. It was kind of something we were doing for fun, just trying to get something down on record. And then after we did it, it was like, hey, this sounds really good. We should really go ahead and release it and make this, actually be a real album. We were finishing up the recording towards the end of 2019, and we had everything pretty much ready to go, and we were going to be releasing in April. And then things started to look a little complicated towards the beginning of March, right after Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So we pushed back, and then we figured, well, we don't know when we're going to start gigging again, so we might as well just get this music out in the world and share it with people and, see what happens and kind of go from there. So in some ways it was easier to get it done because without having any other gigs or rehearsals or any other things to take our time and concentration, we're able to really put together a great package and, work with great people at Slam and Media and Orange Grove Publicity to get it into, as many hands as possible.
Talk to me about the band. How did you guys come together?
Yeah, so we, it started as kind of as a weekly gig, and the band had originally started with Cleveland, the trumpet player, Yassine, the piano player, and a previous drummer, Jason Winnikoff. They had been doing some regular gigs or semi-regular gigs in New Orleans and with some different personnel, and over time those people moved out of New Orleans, so they brought in myself on reeds, Peter Gustafson on trombone, and Stephen Bonestangel on bass. And we started to do this weekly gig. We started to kind of develop our own take on the repertoire. Jason moved to Boston to get a graduate degree in musicology. So when he left, we got Trenton O'Neill to come in as the drummer. And we continued to have that weekly gig for about a year or so after we kind of settled on that lineup. And Cleveland, our trumpet player, had decided in early 2018 that he was going to move to Marseille, France. So we were motivated to do this recording before he left town. And then since he was leaving, we needed to find a new lead vocalist, and so we got Angie Z to come in as our vocalist going forward, and we have her featured on one track on the album. By playing a regular weekly gig and doing the standard New Orleans repertoire, we obviously loved this music and studied it intently, but we wanted to make it enjoyable for ourselves by adding some different twists on it, and that's we kind of over time started adding certain things to different tunes, adding a little bit of a Afro-Cuban flavor, a little bit of kind of more modern groove kind of music, and then we had one rehearsal really before we went in to do the recording session, and we kind of settled on, okay, these are the arrangements that we're going to do for the album. and make them our own and, be a little bit different from the way other people play this music.
Talk to me about why it works with you guys. What is it about the conversation, the musicality, everything that mixes together that makes you guys work?
I think a lot of it is many of us have known each other for a long time. I've known Cleveland since 2011. He and Adam knew each other since around that same time as well. And Stephen Bonesangle I had known for a long time. So we kind of all knew each other and had played in different bands or done gigs with each other. And then we just kind of found, we had this gig. We started to have the opportunity to play with each other every week, just built this tremendous camaraderie that was built on top of existing relationships, and we really were able to develop, a unit and then really explore the repertoire and come up with some interesting stuff.
So let's say when live music picks back up and you come to Kansas City, how would you describe one of your live shows?
We're going to bring the New Orleans energy and get people on the dance floor. We're going to be providing the fun and flavor of the city, and we're going to take you, from the highest highs to the lowest lows as far as emotionally. We're going to try to have you have an experience with us, and it'll be a show, not just a concert, I guess. We'll be having crowd participation and, trying to entertain you fully and not just play the music for you. Is that a good? No one's asked me that question before, so I didn't really.
No, that's good.
No, that's a good answer.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, when we do get back to live music, what do you hope both the fans and the audience, or the musician and the audience, realizes about this time away from live music?
That art is essential for humanity, That's, I think art is something that can bring people together in difficult times, Everybody has a favorite song or favorite poem, favorite book, favorite film that they kind of always go back to when they're in a certain kind of mood. If they're in a happy mood, there's songs of celebration, there's songs of mourning, for bad times. And art is an essential part of the human experience, and I think collective experience of art is important. We are social animals, and we need each other, and I think that's been made more evident than ever before in a lot of ways. I think we all took live music for granted. We took the ability to have dinner with friends and family for granted, and I think people will hopefully remember this difficult year and take hold of the things that we are able to do once this pandemic is over.
Your album comes out today. Let's say from here on out, whoever downloads or buys a copy of this, what do you want them to get from this experience of this brand new album? What do you want them to feel from this?
I want them to feel joy. We had a blast making the record. I think when you listen to it, that comes through. There's bits of laughter that made it through the recording and mixing process, and we really enjoy each other's company as people, and we enjoy playing music together. And I think with all of the stress that 2020 has brought for the entire world, this is a little bit of joy and escapism that we can hopefully provide people. And then, going forward, after this is all done, hopefully people are still listening to this music and they can put it on when they have friends over and, have a little dance party in their house if they're so inclined, or just have a little bit of taste of New Orleans if they have never been to the city, or if they, have not been able to return. They can have a bit of that feeling in their own home until they're able to join us in person.
David, thank you for opening up about the new album. Good luck with it and talking about the band. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much for interviewing. It's our pleasure. And we are starting our plans for a second album that'll hopefully come out sometime in 2021. So I hope to speak to you again when that album comes out in a few months.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and bands in New Orleans, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to David for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.